This is the most intense scene in the sword forging competition. A top-level double-layer forged hatchet just underwent an oil quench and was then immediately thrown into a bucket for water cooling. The judges were left with soaring blood pressure and exploding tempers. Astonishingly, the show's producers not only provided 3 hatchets made of laminated high-carbon steel for the first round challenge, but also prepared over 50 battle axes. The 4 contestants were required to demonstrate their skills by replicating the forging method using a double-layer technique, which involves combining soft and hard steel for the blade and soft steel for the body, with the blade length controlled between 20 to 25 centimeters. Besides having a blunt tip, the whole body needed to be honed with a chisel. The difficulty of this forging is comparable to shaping spring steel. The 3-hour timed challenge began. The double-layer method was chosen because high-carbon steel was once considered a premium material used only at the cutting edge, which is why good steel is said to be best used for the blade. Dustin chose the largest hand axe for his material and added a piece of hard steel for a single forging. Next, he only needed to extend the soft steel to match the hard steel in size before welding them together for the double-layer process. Meanwhile, Jay chose square soft steel, cut it into small pieces, and prepared to stack and forge them into a double layer. If done correctly, this method could produce strong results, but a mistake would mean elimination for Jay. Josh picked 2 axes as his material, cutting the soft steel longer than the hard as a marker to avoid mistakenly forging the soft steel into the blade edge. Weston not only threw the axe into the furnace to burn off the handle, but also planned to stack the blade and back after heating to increase thickness. 1 hour in, Dustin applied flux for the first double-layer welding and marked 4 points on the hard steel side to avoid confusion about the steel positions. Jay forged and fused the steel billet 3 times before starting to extend it, as his layered double layer would be no joke if it cracked. Josh preferred to merge the 2 steel billets by hand hammering, as he had never used a machine for forging and relied solely on his skill for 25 years. Weston, after generously applying flux, sandwiched a soft plate between the hard and soft steel and fused them in one go after reheating. This clever move impressed everyone, even earning praise for Weston's skillful technique. Meanwhile, Dustin had shaped the blade under a heavy hammer. It's important to know that after hardening, the hard steel would compress the soft steel, causing it to bend. Therefore, Dustin intentionally hammered the hard steel side before quenching to allow for the body to curve, so the hardened steel would straighten the blade upon cooling. Indeed, Dustin showed that quenching could be manipulated in such a way. In the final hour, after pickling the blade, Jay noticed soft steel on the edge, which was quite risky. After some thought, Jay decided to hammer the base of the blade to the edge. Dustin completed the quenching after heating the blade. The bend was slight and the hardness quite good. Weston hammered out the blade and intentionally left the edge thick to prevent bending during quenching. The result was a blade that was both straight and hard. Following closely, Jay completed quenching his blade and quickly cooled it in a water bucket. This move surprised everyone, especially since quenching normally makes blades prone to bending, and the rapid cooling in water made this more apparent. A contestant with 10 years of experience should not have made such a move. Josh was the last to quench his blade. Despite a slight bend, his strength was evident as he straightened the blade with a single strike. Time was up, and the first round challenge ended. The 4 experts each displayed their skills. First was Dustin's Japanese-style chopper. The blade was visibly bent, but the forge welding was excellent. Next was Josh's chopper, which was perfectly straight, much to Doug Marcaita's satisfaction. Doug was almost unable to contain his excitement. Weston's Japanese-style chopper was also completed well, perfectly straight. Lastly, Jay's chopper was tested by Ben Abbott, revealing significant issues. The edge was not hard, but the back was extremely hard. By changing the blade to the back, Jay effectively ruined his chopper. The result was clear. Jay could take his soft-edged chopper home while the remaining 3 contestants advanced to the second round. In addition to adjusting flaws and assembling handles, contestants had to use pure wood for the handle material in the next phase. After completion, the judges would conduct high-intensity tests. The 2-hour work period began. Dustin lit the torch to soften and correct the bend in the blade using a 3-point straightening method, resolving the issue immediately. Josh decided to polish the blade after selecting his materials. He quenched the blade late and hadn't yet polished it. Weston also needed to carefully grind the blade to reduce its weight while ensuring the positions of the soft and hard steel to avoid leaving too much soft steel. In the final hour, Dustin drilled and wrapped the handle to prepare for a hidden tang, which would be secured with glue and nails. Josh first temporarily fixed the materials with strong glue, drilled holes, then disassembled it to complete the final assembly with resin glue. After shaping the handle, Weston polished the blade again, as the final test would determine its quality. Time was up, and the second round ended. The first test was chopping wood. Dustin's chopper went first, and its blade was flawless with a great handle feel. Next was Weston's chopper, which also had an undamaged blade, pleasing the judges. Josh's chopper had a slight chip but passed the test. The second round was Doug Marcada's iron fish sharpness test. Dustin's chopper performed excellently. Weston's was equally smooth, and Josh's even cut through the iron fish. After deliberation, the judges decided to eliminate Josh due to his mediocre performance, advancing Weston and Dustin to the final round. They were to craft a Zulu battle axe, an elegant and deadly African artifact, at home. This axe, a family heirloom of the Zulu tribe, could easily break through enemy defenses and destroy shields with its arrowhead-like blade. They had 4 days to craft this axe with specific dimensions. The blade had to be between 38 to 43 centimeters. The protruding tang was mandatory, and the handle needed to be about 76 centimeters long. They would return in 4 days for the final test, and the winner would be the champion. Weston not only prepared a large block of Damascus steel, but also ground a finished steel piece, planning to create a triple-layered Damascus by extending, cutting, and stacking the steel, adding a twisted pattern for effect. Dustin prepared a finished steel block for the challenge, heated it, and started passionately hammering until the blade length was confirmed, then began forging the tang. His progress on the first day far exceeded that of Weston. The next day, Weston polished his Damascus steel block again. A long strip was cut out for the axe root. After confirming the shape was correct with no cracks, Brother Key completed the quenching, achieving very good results. Dustin felt the axe root was too thin, so he added 2 pieces of finished steel. This welding and thickening eliminated the risk of the blade breaking. After rehammering, also completed quenching the axe. The blade was straight and hard. On the last day, Weston prepared high-strength yew wood and visually appealing black wood for the axe handle. After hesitating for half an hour, decided to let the test determine the outcome. No more picking was needed. After drilling holes in the yew wood, immediately finished the assembly. Now, all that was left was to show off in the competition. Dustin also completed the axe handle assembly after finely grinding the blade. Later, he fire-toasted the handle to add character and etched patterns on the blade. This battle axe looked very cool. 4 days later, both returned to the competition with their axes. Dustin's axe was forged from 80 CRV2 steel with a wooden handle. Weston's axe was forged from 230 layers of twisted Damascus cladding 80 CRV2 with an ironwood handle cap. Both axes looked impressive in their own way. The first test was Doug Marcada's practical test of chopping a pig. Dustin's axe went first and performed exceptionally well, with Doug Marcada finding it hard to put down. Next was Weston's axe, which was even more ferocious, and Doug Marcada also loved it. The next round was a strength test of chopping ammunition boxes. Unfortunately, a blade broke during the contest, revealing a flaw present before quenching. If Weston's axe could withstand 3 hits without breaking, he would easily win the championship. Even Ben Abbott wanted to try a few more chops. Dustin was then eliminated. Congratulations to Weston for his handsome axe winning this championship. Weston.